Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in Hollywood, California. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys join us as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that sorts of good stuff. And, of course, joining me, the right honorable, the wonderful, the magnificent, galactically known, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
John, I did it.
You did it.
I did it.
Life mission accomplished.
I saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse last night. I went to a 7:15 show at the Pasadena ArcLight, and it was delightful.
I'm glad you liked it.
You know, first of all, it was so creative, and it was just from an animation standpoint, a stylistic standpoint, like nothing I've ever seen before. It's no wonder it won the Golden Globe. I know that. Really innovative, great use of comic book lore and comic books even incorporated into the storyline, which I thought was great. And another great, the same way you got representation with Black Panther, I mean, I thought you have an interracial marriage that's functional, a husband and wife that love each other, a Puerto Rican mother, a black father, great parents. Miles Morales, good kid, strong family bond. I really like that. I loved Lily Tomlin.
Oh, as Aunt May. Yeah.
I didn't know she was in the movie. Yeah. Anyway, you know what, you guys? You're right. It's a fantastic film.
It took a while to see it, but you got around to watching it.
I got around to it, and we all went, and it was delightful, and I'm sorry I wasted this much time before I saw it.
You know what really impressed me about it, too, was the way that the movie, as much as it's a comic book movie, as much as it's an animated movie, it stayed a character-centric movie.
Absolutely.
It was all about the characters. It was all about Miles, and it was all about Peter, and the way they kept the focus of the movie, no matter what else was going on, it was always about the characters. And that blew me away, because you can, Spider-Man animated movie, you can go so lazy on that if you wanted to. But they paid attention to every single detail that makes a good movie, and they crushed it.
It was so, and the two versions of Peter Parker that we saw.
Yeah, the Chris Pine one.
The Chris Pine, and you're at the top of your game, and then you're not so much at the top of your game. And you had never seen a superhero sort of gone to seed, a superhero that you really liked. And I just thought the movie was delightful.
Well, I'm glad that you did. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more when we have our first episode of The Weekly Hero back this coming Wednesday. But listen, guys, before we get to our main topics today, there's a little bit of an off-the-top thing here. Fandango, the giant online ticket seller, put out a press release making this announcement that Captain Marvel, their tickets not only went on sale, but that Captain Marvel is the third fastest ticket sales they've had for any MCU movie, only beaten out by, and you can guess what they are, Avengers Infinity War and Black Panther. Those are the only two that this one actually got beat out by. And now look, there's something very important to point out here. Number one, you can't read too much into it. And on the one hand, you can't read too much into that fact and figure, because we are living in an era right now of exponential growth when it comes to online ticketing. For a very long time, we lived in an era where if you wanted to go to the movies and you wanted to buy tickets to something, what you had to do was you had to drive to the movie theater, go stand in line and buy your tickets. Even with kiosks today, right? Like the AMC Burbank 16, they have those automated kiosks there. Even with automated kiosks, it never ceases to amaze me. When I go to the AMC Burbank 16, the biggest line is still at the box office. It's still where people go and manually buy their tickets.
Right.
And you only see a couple people walking up and scanning their tickets that they bought online, or even using the kiosk. But we are in an era right now of exponential growth where more and more, every single month, more and more people are cluing into buying their tickets in advance and online. What that basically means is that it is understandable that as we move forward in this period of time we're in right now, that we're going to see more people buying tickets online. Is it impressive that Captain Marvel is the third fastest ticket-selling MCU movie of all time? Yes, it's impressive. I'm not trying to downplay that. I'm just saying, put a little asterisk beside it, that we are in a period of exponential growth with people buying their tickets online. So it's a little bit to be expected. But still, Robert, not a bad sign for something like Captain Marvel.
Well, no, I mean, I think, look, they do this to gauge public interest. You know, and the reason they started selling these tickets so early was to see, well, okay, how much interest is there in Captain Marvel? This is a new franchise. There's a lot riding on this. It's their first female-led superhero film.
Right.
You know, is the fan base going to embrace this character? Is there the anticipation for this character? They've gone all in because, of course, she's a big part of Endgame.
Right.
So I think this bodes well for both the success of Captain Marvel and for the MCU going forward after Endgame, because they're creating new characters, which is what they have to do. They can't just keep contracts are up. They've got to create new excitement amongst the audience for these new characters, and I think this really bodes well for Phase 4 and beyond.
Absolutely does. And at least even though I'm saying you need to put that asterisk beside it, it still does speak to the fact that the general movie-going audience is more excited about seeing this movie than I think a lot of us have been giving them credit for.
Absolutely.
And we're just going to have to see how... Now, I'm still sticking with my belief that Captain Marvel is going to come closer to the Ant-Man realm of box office results than, say, the Black Panther realm of box office results. But either way, it's going to be strong. It's going to be strong.
You know, and I think the people that say that the trailer, we live in this echo chamber. Yes, in our social media. All we're hearing about is people, geeks like ourselves, that are following this stuff. It's all that chatter. But we forget there's an entire universe of people out there. There's girls that aren't on the online talking about movies all day long that want to see a female-led superhero movie. They came to Wonder Woman. They have been underserved as an audience. Now they're getting Captain Marvel. Don't underestimate the power of people that aren't chattering all day long on the internet.
Yeah, we keep trying to emphasize to people that those of us who live in this online movie fandom sphere, we must keep in mind we are the minority.
Right.
The majority of the average movie-going audience isn't part of our echo chamber. I like the way you put that. And I think it seems like there is a bigger interest in this movie than maybe we thought. But again, still, I don't think we're looking at Black Panther numbers.
No.
I think we're more looking at Ant-Man and the Wasp numbers, which is still pretty strong.
Right.
All right. With that stuff out of the way, guys, let's get on to our main topics of the day. And our main topics of the day, how do we pick those out? Well, it's easy. You guys select our main topics of the day by emailing me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, make sure you keep those emails to 90 words or less. With that out of the way, let's get to our first email of the day. And our first email today comes to us from Darren Ewan, who writes, "Greetings, gentlemen. I guess we all sort of saw it coming, but it looks official now. The Oscars will have no host. It's a shame because I was looking forward to Kevin Hart, and I sort of thought after his appearance on Ellen it might still happen. Do you think this is a matter of them just wanting to change it up, or do you think this is just plain old they couldn't find anybody willing to host it this year? Thanks, and as we say on Arrakis, the filthy must flow." Robert, you know, after we talked about this for a little bit, we thought maybe there might have been a glimmer of possibility once, you know, Kevin Hart did that appearance on Ellen. Apparently that's not happening. Do you think this is a matter of them going, you know what, let's try something different and not have a host? Or do you think this is a matter of we've called everybody in the Rolodex and nobody's willing to host? What do you lean towards here?
Well, look, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, we live in a society now where people are going to get pilloried for things they did 5, 10, 20. How many years ago are we going to go back? Is everybody squeaky clean? Is everyone's past 100% snowflaked out? I mean, we live in a very complex world. And, you know, comedy per se can be very bawdy, very off color. It frequently uses stereotypes for good or bad, but to shine a light on our society. And you go back to even Lenny Bruce, who really broke a lot of ground with some really edgy comedy back in the late 50s and early 60s. If we're gonna go after people like this, we're gonna live in a world where no one is gonna want to participate in anything. Whether now it's the Oscar hosts, but what if it's politics? You know, what if somebody is really qualified but has maybe a skeleton in their closet that someone's going to go unearth from 20 years ago? We might be losing great people who are going to go on and do great things because they fear the public spotlight. And I hope this isn't a portent of things to come because, you know, and look, did what Kevin Hart say, was it appropriate? Probably not. But is comedy appropriate? And how many times does he have to apologize? I mean, it's rough, and now we're not going to have hosts for the Oscars. I love hosts for the Oscars.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and I think it's sad.
Yeah, I think I 100% lean towards this is a matter that nobody wanted to do it. I mean, just plain old, flat out, nobody wants to do this job. Yeah, exactly, because everybody now knows if I accept this gig, if I go on this show and I take this job, what is going to happen now is every 2-bit online blogger is going to dig and try to find anything that I might have even said out of pace or whatever 15 years ago, and then the outrage culture is going to kick in, and I'm going to get lambasted for it. Now, look, I am in no way, shape, or form, nor will I ever defend what Kevin Hart, the jokes he made. But the fact of the matter is, they were jokes he made 15 years ago or 10 years ago. He understood, he grew and learned, hey, that wasn't appropriate. I shouldn't have said that. And I'm going to change my comedy, and I'm not going to do that anymore. And he stopped doing it. I don't know, and I think that's really what it comes down to. Now, everybody's looking at this stuff, and look, we're coming right off the heels of the James Gunn stuff and all those kind of things. These guys now are looking at this sort of thing and thinking, nah, I don't want to put myself under the spotlight like that, and I'm not going to do it. Now, how's this going to work out for the Oscars? I don't know. I really love having a host, even when I hated the hosts.
Right.
Even when I hated James Franco and
Rob Lowe's Snow White number.
Oh gosh. Even when I've hated the host for the Oscars, I like that there is a host for the Oscars.
I do too.
The fact that we're not going to get an opening monologue for the Oscars. I still remember Steve Martin's opening monologue that one year he did the Oscars right after Billy Crystal did. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
It's really funny.
It was really great, and I love seeing stuff like that. But now you're also at the same thing. We saw it in the Golden Globes. Nobody wants to say anything anymore. Nobody, and I think, look, what we do as human beings, and I know I do this as well, when we see the pendulum swing too far one way and to a place it shouldn't be, we sometimes, unfortunately, trying to course correct, we sometimes will then swing the pendulum too far the other way. And then what we normally do in our society is that the pendulum keeps going back and forth, and then we find that middle ground.
Right.
And unfortunately, right now, we're just not in that spot, and it looks like we're going to have an Oscars without a host because nobody wants to do it. And maybe that'll change at some point, and maybe it'll still work out fine, who knows. But they're saying that we're going to get a bunch of A-list celebrities to do little segments. They didn't announce who any of these so-called big A-list celebrities are. Because I still think they're going to have a hard time finding people to do that. But who knows? All right, what's next?
Well, what's next? What's next comes from Miriam Boutel, who says, I read the news that John Lasseter was hired on to lead the animation division of Skydance.
Ooh.
I kind of have mixed feelings. On one hand, the reports I read suggested he acted pretty gross at Disney, and I'm glad he lost his job there. But on the other hand, as someone who was once straight up told by my boss, blank me or lose your job, I never read anything that made me feel like Lasseter should get a life sentence. Or I never read anything that made me feel like Lasseter should get a life sentence and never allowed to work again. I'm torn. What say you, John? Sort of following up the last question.
Ooh, I know. And this is...
we're delving into some edgy stuff this morning.
Look, there's some stuff that, quite frankly, look, we're delving into some topics here that no matter what we say, half the people are going to hate us for whatever it is we say, and that's fine. I can live with that. Here's a little asterisk before I give my opinion on this. I revealed on my show a while ago, I was sexually abused as a child by somebody who was not a family member. That being said... my gender is male. As a male in our culture, while I am completely entitled to have a rational opinion, at the same time, there's always going to be a little bit of a blind spot in whatever opinion I can form because I'm not a woman. I've not walked in those shoes. There's a part of that perspective that I will never be able to truly and fully properly understand. So please listen to anything I say in that light, understanding that. That being said, the whole John Lasseter thing really broke open with that Hollywood Reporter story that came out. So let's put this in context before we give any sort of opinions. This is what the Hollywood Reporter story had to say about the whole John Lasseter situation. The Hollywood Reporter story said this. It said one longtime Pixar employee says Lasseter, who is well known for hugging employees and others in the entertainment community, was also known by insiders for grabbing, kissing, making comments about physical attributes. Another former insider remembers awkward encounters with Lasseter, who, like many in the industry do, liked to hug in meetings. You'd hug him and he'd whisper in your ear a long time, this person says. He hugged, and everyone's looking at you, just invading the space. I really like the way, who was it? Miriam. I really like the way Miriam phrased that. Lasseter, as much of a genius as he is, as much as a pioneer as he is in the industry, you can't talk about the animation genre without mentioning John Lasseter.
No.
As much as that is the case, it sounds pretty convincingly he acted kind of gross. He acted pretty gross. Now, the question, something important, and Deadline wrote an article on this yesterday, and I thought the guy who wrote the article on Deadline said something pretty relevant here. He said, look, it's important to understand that this is not a Harvey Weinstein situation. This is not a guy who is facing multiple charges. This is a guy who has no criminal record. This is a guy who, he acted in an inappropriate way, but he didn't do some of the nonsense that like a Harvey Weinstein did, right? So, and that's important to make that distinction. There is a little bit of a difference here. I am with Miriam in the place that I'm glad he lost his job there. I think he deserved to lose his job at Disney. It was the most high-profile position in the entire industry. Not only the most powerful guy in the in the animation world, one of the most powerful men in movies, period, was John Lasseter. And when you conduct yourself that way, you've kind of done it to yourself. You put yourself in a position where you need to lose that job. A statement must be made, an example must be made, and especially if this is a pattern of behavior that happened over a course of years, then there's really no repairing that at that point. But I also like what Miriam said about, does his behavior require a life sentence as far as this dude should never have, a high-profile job in animation again? And I don't know. See, when I read the Hollywood Reporter reports, as contrasting, say, like a Harvey Weinstein, the first thing that comes to my mind, and this is just me, and I can have my position on this changed. Believe me, I can have my position on this changed. But I read that, and I look at that, and I say, okay, that looks like behavior that can be corrected. When you read about Lasseter's past behavior, it's not like some of the stuff Weinstein done where there's no coming back from it. I look at the stuff that's being reported, and I say, okay, this looks like something he lost his job over and should have lost his job over. But it also looks like behavior that can be corrected. According to all reports, he's been seeing therapists and doing all the stuff you're supposed to do, but some of that could just be a PR screen, who knows? So that the idea that a Skydance would come along and say, look, we need somebody to run our animation division. We have a guy who's probably the most successful person in animation in history. We're going to vet him. We're going to do our own internal investigation into it. We're going to see where he's at. And if a company like that then says, we are comfortable that he has corrected his behavior and we're willing to take a chance on him and move forward with this, I don't know that I have a major problem with that. The one thing that sticks out to me, and I've heard some critics say this and I got to agree with them, is that it seems like maybe he deserves a second chance. Maybe he can correct his behavior, but man, it's just a little too soon. And I've heard people making that argument, and I got to say, I don't have any retort for that argument. It's a valid point. It is pretty damn soon. I don't know. You look at this situation, Rob, what do you think?
Well, I have military friends, both male and female veterans. They say really inappropriate things. And they say really inappropriate things because their culture of their job, their lives can end. So they can develop dark, sardonic senses of humor. Now, I could see people on both sides, both men and women, listening to some of my things that my veteran friends have said, and they could get triggered. Oh my God, you can't say those kinds of things. But in that kind of a work environment, this kind of thing develops, and the people within that work environment understand. Now, that said, when you're working for a company, an animation company, where you're making family entertainment, I think that there's an expectation that everybody working in such an environment, men, women, young, old, whatever your sexual orientation is, religious beliefs, gender, whatever, you have an expectation of being treated a certain way.
Right.
In that environment.
And you have a right to that
and a right to that expectation. And if there is someone who is acting in an inappropriate manner or making you feel uncomfortable, it's not like as you pointed out, it's not like John Lasseter was pulling the Harvey Weinstein going, unless you sleep with me, I'm going to do. I mean, John Lasseter, he hugged too much? He said a few inappropriate things. They're trying to make jokes. But if somebody felt uncomfortable in that environment and John Lasseter was making them feel uncomfortable, that's on John Lasseter. And I think that's why there's HR departments, and that's why things are dealt with. What it sounded like was this behavior was allowed to continue for a long time.
That's one of the most disturbing parts of that whole story, is that it was allowed to continue unchecked for so long.
Unchecked for so long, but maybe, John Lasseter is a guy that wore Aloha shirts every day to work. Maybe he just didn't know, and no one went and talked to him. Or if people are being uncomfortable, then you can't say that those people aren't feeling that way. And I think it really, this is what requires adult, learned, smart behavior all the way around on every side. And we live now in a culture where people go from 0 to 60 with their outrage at the snap of a finger. And I think that as with everything, we need careful, well-considered, measured, intelligent approaches to these kinds of things, because they are nuanced like everything else. But should John Lasseter never work again? I don't think so.
What about the whole notion that, dude, it's been like 1 year. 1 year or less. I can't remember the specific dates of it since that whole thing happened. Do you think maybe it might have been wiser to say, for Skydance or anybody else to say, let's appoint an interim chief for 2 years, 2 or 3 years, and then let's have John Lasseter continue doing his, seeing counselors, adjusting his behavior, blah, blah, and then let's see what happens, and let's maybe bring him in. Do you think maybe that the time period, it might have been a little bit questionable?
I don't know who's going to decide these things. I mean, we live in a world where if you believe in our system of justice, there's the presumption of innocence until proven guilty, except in the public eye, where everybody is prosecuted publicly. You're guilty, no matter what. And then, okay, if we're going to do that, if we're going to prosecute people, then we need to have some kind of a public measuring stick of how long these people go away for.
Sure, but remember at the same time, this is
our
not,
justice system.
This isn't even something that John Lasseter denies, though. I mean, this isn't maybe John Lasseter did, maybe John Lasseter didn't. John Lasseter's acknowledged he did do these things. This is behavior he did engage in.
No doubt.
It's not a question about whether he did or didn't. So the question then becomes, you're right, and who brings out that measuring stick? What is the appropriate amount of time for him to spend in animation jail? I mean, I don't know.
Look, we need to figure this stuff out as a society, because eventually all of us are going to be burned at the stake for something at some time. And there's going to be nobody to stand around while we all go up in flames. So until we figure out these very difficult subjects and how we're going to deal with them as a culture, we better figure this stuff out, and we better start having a public debate about it, and we better stop being mad and take a step back and wonder, how are we going to move forward as a culture?
Well, I think the bottom line here, everybody, is, just don't act like a douchebag. How's that? Just don't act like a douchebag.
Will Wheaton has always said, don't be a dick.
Really?
That's pretty much it.
Simple,
don't be a dick.
Simple life motto. Just don't be a dick. All right, let's move on to the next email today. And the next email today comes to us from no name was attached to it. All right, hey, John and Robert. The review embargo, oh dear, yeah. The review embargo for
These
Glass
are rough questions.
lifted yesterday, and unfortunately the curse of the sham hammer has returned. It's currently sitting at 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. My question is this the movie to finally kill M. Night's chances at directing again? What are your thoughts? Bring on the filthy, and thanks for helping me get through my senior year of high school. Well, awesome. I'm glad we were there to help you get through your senior year of high school.
That's cool.
Robert, I know you and I have both been looking forward to Glass.
Yes.
We've liked the trailers. I mean, coming out of Split, we've liked the trailers. Now, I skipped the press screening. You haven't had a chance to see it yet. Neither of us have seen it, but we're hearing the reaction coming out of it. Reaction from a lot of people that I know were very excited about this movie. What's your, how does it all hit you? You see these reactions to this film. What's your response to that?
Well, look, first of all, it's not like the Sham Hammer is spending $100 million to make this movie.
Right.
This is still a Blumhouse film. And what I've found interesting about the movie is the critics of the film, people have been divisive. The opinion has been really, I've heard people who say they've liked it and people who don't. But a lot of people are saying it's not the movie they wanted. And I'm thinking that a lot like the reaction to Venom, I think if people are going to go to this movie, they might be entertained by it. Even though I've read the reviews that haven't been so great, the things in the reviews still make me interested in the movie. People haven't come out and said, like Lady in the Water, this movie's nigh unwatchable.
Yes.
They've come out and they've said things that, from an intellectual standpoint, I'm interested to see. Like someone said, M. Night Shyamalan is dealing with himself, like his own problems as an artist with each one of the three characters in the movie. I'm like, that's enough to get me to go see a film. That's interesting to me. Now, is it going to change my life the way I wanted it to? Maybe not. But I'm going to see it. I'm going to go see it.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it too. And I'll tell you the part that concerns me, though. The part that concerns me isn't so much the 37%. 37, hey, I've seen worse. That means like almost 1 out of every, or 4 out of every 10 critics ended up liking it. What concerns me is when I look at the reviews that liked the movie and they gave it positive. Now, I'm on Rotten Tomatoes website right now. I'm on the Glass. And as of, this moment right now, it's sitting at 37%. But even the positive reviews are speaking kind of lukewarm. Like, I've got the Hollywood Reporter's review right now who gave it a positive review, but they said this: though satisfying enough to work at the multiplex, it doesn't erase memories of all the ways even movies before, the abjectly awful After Earth, and The Last Airbender made us wary of the words, a film by M. Night Shyamalan. Then you looked at another one of the positive reviews from the Insider wrote, as much as I enjoyed Glass, I don't think it's as good as Unbreakable or Split. You look at something like Empire Magazine, who wrote, again, another positive review, but this is how positive it was. Essentially a Split sequel with an Unbreakable topping. This is a weaker version of either of those two movies. Still a decent amount of entertaining and creepy sequences. Most of them only due, though, to James McAvoy's commitment to his performance. So I don't mind it when I see a movie that's got like 50%, but the 50% that liked it are like, yeah, I really liked it.
Right.
You know, something like a Venom, like, because the people who like Venom are like, yeah, it's a bit of a mess, but it's really, really fun. The part that concerns me, again, is not that 37% number. It's that number that says, it's that 63% that are saying, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I get, and that's the part that worries me. But like moving on to the second part of the question, though, asking, does this spell the end of M. Night? Does this spell the end of him at this point? What do you think?
Absolutely not. I mean, this film, the cost-benefit analysis in the long run, this movie wasn't expensive to make. And as people have pointed out, a lot of it takes place in the rooms at this asylum or at this mental ward that they're in. So, you know, there isn't the kind of effects budget that you had with an Infinity War. So this film, I don't think this film can help but be profitable. It might not be profitable as Split was. Split was a huge hit for Blumhouse. But I think that it's going to do fine. People are going to go, it's opening weekend, it's probably going to do fine. It's this weekend, right?
No, it's I believe it's next weekend.
It's next week.
But it's not even about the box office, though. If we're back to the words M. Night, a film by M. Night Shyamalan, and people want to chuckle at it.
I don't think this is a Lady in the Water type situation.
No, I agree. And I'll tell you why I agree with you. I don't think this movie, no matter, and again, I haven't seen the film yet, but I don't think this movie is going to spell the end of M. Night. And I'll tell you what, it almost doesn't matter how bad this movie is, it doesn't spell the end of M. Night. Because regardless of that long list of terrible movies he put out earlier, the fact of the matter is, even if Glass is terrible, and I'm not saying it is because I haven't seen it, but even if Glass is terrible, guess what? He's still 2 out of 3 for his last 3 films. The Visit was a good, solid little movie. Split is a good, solid little movie. So even if Glass is terrible, I think there's going to be a lot of people in this town who will still look at an M. Night and go, you know what? You're still 2 out of 3 for your last 3 films.
And he's not, if he still is working at this budget level,
yeah,
you know, the risk is not what it is for any other kind of a film.
Yeah.
And
now, is anybody going to hand him a $120 million movie at this point? No, he's still got a lot of ground to cover for that.
But, you know, if he comes out with another film from Blumhouse that's a hit and he has 3 out of 4 ain't bad, you know, he could get back. He'll work. You know what? He is playing the smart, long game with his career now. He had 3 big hits. He flamed out spectacularly.
Yeah.
Now he took the remnants of his career like a phoenix. He rose up. He makes The Visit. He makes Split. And now he does this. I mean, he's doing what people should do with their lives. You have some big losses. You got
Yep.
some big successes. You keep driving forward, and you keep trying to reinvent yourself. So kudos to him, man.
You know, there's some people.
Shamalama ding dong. That's what I say.
Some people got mad at me that I say Shamhammer. They're saying, man, you say that as. Let me give you a little bit of a history lesson on Shamhammer. Shamhammer was a phrase that me and my buddy coined back during Unbreakable. Because he had done Sixth Sense and then he had done Unbreakable, and we're like, he's not just Shyamalan, he's the Sham Hammer. Because we were like, it was meant as a term of honor, like the Sham Hammer. So when he got on his bad streak, just because he got on his bad streak, I didn't stop using the term of honor because now he sucks. No, I just kept calling him the Shammer. That's just my nickname for him now.
Which is fantastic. I thought it was some name that I just never heard before. I didn't realize that is a John Campea original.
Yeah, the Hammer. Like
the Sham Hammer is the greatest. A little more background
because my hometown is Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, also known as the Hammer. That's what we call Hamilton, is the Hammer.
So I'm from Mercer Island. We call it the Rock.
I like that. I like that. By the way, one of my favorite, probably my absolute favorite Nicolas Cage movie. Just a little history there. All right.
By the way, he was so good as Noir Spider-Man.
Oh, yes, he was.
I want to see a Noir Spider-Man movie. Just saying.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Penny Parker movie, too.
Oh, she was, yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Peter Porker movie. I mean, I'm on board for all of them.
I'm in.
All right. What's the next question today?
Ooh, I like this next question. Benjamin C. says, like you, I'm very pumped to see the new Dune movie by Denis Villeneuve, and I've loved all of the casting so far. But today might be the best casting news yet.
Woo!
Stellan Skarsgard is going to be playing the evil Baron Harkonnen, and I can't believe how great this is. What are your thoughts on Skarsgard joining the cast, and do you think this means good things for Dune? What do you think? I mean,
look, Stellan Skarsgard is just one of those actors in this business. He's kind of like, look, I'm not saying he is Anthony Hopkins. I'm just saying he is, to me, the name Stellan Skarsgard is likened unto an Anthony Hopkins or Patrick Stewart, the type of name that you just kind of bend a knee a little bit when you mention him. I think this guy, who is not in all the greatest movies in the world, he's been in some great ones, but his career has not been peppered by being in the greatest of movies. But he is always one of the greatest performers. This guy can do an MCU movie in Thor and then go off to an edgy little film like Nymphomaniac. And he can do them both, and he can do them both with excellence. Oh my God, as the bad guy in the North American version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I thought he was spectacular. I loved him in the Mamma Mia films. I loved him in everything.
I loved him in Hunt for Red October.
Yeah, absolutely loved him in Hunt for Red October. And on top of all that, the guy he has talent in his genes because yea unto his seed. He's got like 3 of his kids are like turning out to be really great actors at this. All the Skarsgards, the kids, right? And none of them are as good as their dad.
No.
But I'll tell you what, as Baron Harkonnen, I read that and my face just lit up. I'm like, damn right, Stellan Skarsgard is Baron Harkonnen. What did you think about this?
It's funny because Dune came out, David Lynch's Dune came out in 1984. And Kenneth McMillan played famously Baron Harkonnen, or as they would call him in the movie, the Flying Fat Man.
Yes.
That's a line from Dune. And he's the David Lynch version of that character with the boils on his face and pulling out the heart plugs. This is going to be a very different movie. Denis Villeneuve has proven throughout all of his movies they can be dark. They're very elegant. Arrival is one of my favorite science fiction films I've seen in a long time. Dune is one of my favorite books of all time. And I think that he's going to bring an elegance. He'll class up that joint. He's going to make Dune. Honestly, I think Dune, his version of Dune, could be one of the great science fiction films of all time. I think Blade Runner 2049 is
no
amazing.
Pressure, no big expectations.
I know. I'm setting myself up, but I do think that I don't think that there's been a director paired with material I've been more excited about in a very long time.
Yeah, Denis Villeneuve doing a Dune is kind of a dream.
The casting: Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides,
yes,
Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, and Stellan Skarsgård as the Baron Harkonnen.
Dave Bautista as his nephew.
Dave Bautista as the Beast Raban. Yeah. I mean, who are they going to get to play the Padishah Emperor, and who are they going to get to play Gurney Hall?
Who's going to play Leto?
Yeah,
like that. Like who's going to play Paul's dad? That is the casting that I am next holding my breath for.
Right.
Who's going to play Timothée Chalamet's dad? Because you had on the television miniseries part of it, they had William Hurt.
Right, and he was great.
He was wonderful in that role. So I am dying to see that's the one I'm waiting for now. I'm just dying to see who they put in that spot.
I just want them to go all Ben-Hur and 10 Commandments and make this movie 4 hours long.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I want.
You know that is not going to happen. Don't hold your breath, my friend. All right, speaking of holding your breath, let's move on to the next topic today. And the next email today, which I believe is our final email of the day, the final email today comes to us from Muggles, who writes, hey, did I miss the announcement that the Scarlet Witch show that's coming is actually called The Vision and Scarlet Witch? I love it. Anyway, just saw that the writer for Captain Marvel, Jack Schaefer, is going to be the showrunner for the new show. Does that give you confidence that Marvel is really happy with what she did with Captain Marvel to hand her the boss's role on this new series? Thanks. To go to that a little bit more, Robert, not only has she done the Captain Marvel thing, they also tapped her to write the Black Widow script that they're moving forward with. They seem to be going all in on this girl. Do you think that the fact that they're tapping her to run this new show that we're all very excited about, Vision and Scarlet Witch, do you think this speaks to their confidence and their happiness with what she accomplished with Captain Marvel?
Oh, absolutely. The talent that they're building, I am so excited what Disney's doing synergistically with both Star Wars and the MCU, and seeing this kind of talent rising to the top. Yeah. I just read an article this morning on the editors of Black Panther. And one of the editors was a woman, the other one was a guy, and the female editor was talking about how when she was on set for Black Panther, here she was, a woman with a director, a person of color, women costume designers, all of this inclusion that's going on. And look, I'm no social justice warrior. What I do like is the diversity of opinions and all of these people that are bringing their experience to these movies, and we're just going to get better product. Like you had said one point, the more diversity, it's not about the color of your skin. It's not about who you are as a person. It's about your experience. Yeah. It's about your life experience and bringing that experience to bear on these great entertainments and broadening their depth. And it's really exciting when you have people making these kinds of inroads and bringing things to us that we've never seen before. And I welcome a female perspective in a female superhero movie. I don't just want to see a female heroine being just like a male hero. What's the point of that? And this bodes well across the board. Very excited.
Yeah, not to say that female writers can't write male superheroes. Not
at all.
Writers can't write, but I think this is great. But to me, the reason this gets me excited is that it seems to me that with this girl, Jack Schaefer, who there's not a long thing. I think she did this one movie that she directed called Timer. I'm not familiar with it at all. She did Disney's also doubled down on her because they used her to write and I believe produce that Frozen short film, Olaf. The Olaf Frozen short film. She did that as well. What excites me isn't that she did Captain Marvel. It's that, man, they must love the work she's doing because in a very short window of time, she has done Captain Marvel. They put her immediately into Black Widow, and now they've got her she's not just writing, she is showrunning, executive producing and showrunning this new show. That tells me they are loving what they're doing. And while the trailers for Captain Marvel have not done a magnificent job of getting me really hyped for the film, they've been good. They've been good trailers, haven't got me super hyped for the film. Hearing something like this, honestly, it's one of these back channel things that actually gets me a little bit more believing in what we're about to get. Because if they believe in it that much, usually when Disney believes in their own product that much, it usually turns out to be pretty good.
Well, not only that, I mean, if you think about what they're doing with their new streaming service, they're bringing in their big guns from their movies.
Yes.
They're bringing in the same actors. I mean, Vision and Scarlet Witch, their marriage, I mean, I was like, how is Disney going to deal with the fact that Scarlet Witch is married to basically an android?
Yeah.
How are they going to do that? But they're going all in. And the relationship that Vision and Scarlet Witch had with one another was part of my childhood growing up.
Right.
I mean, reading the Vision and Scarlet Witch miniseries, seeing their relationship in the Avengers comics, and the fact that you're going to get people that are ported over from their $2 billion grossing movies, and they're putting them in an 8-part show on the streaming service. That means they're going all in. This is A-list all the way. And if you're not excited about the new Loki show, you're not excited about Falcon and Winter Soldier, and you're not excited about Vision and Scarlet Witch, what's wrong with you? Because this is exciting stuff.
By the way, I can't even decide which of those three I'm most excited about. I am so excited for the Loki series. I am so excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, come on, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I know.
And I'm so excited for this one. And look, it's important to keep in mind too, this isn't like one of these properties that Disney was maybe just thinking, who cares about this property? Give Schaefer this one. Disney is going all in on this streaming service. So they're going to be very meticulous and very careful about who they appoint as their showrunners for these things.
Yep.
So I think that speaks a lot to their confidence, and I can't wait to see this.
I mean, between this and The Mandalorian,
Werner
Herzog is in The Mandalorian?
Don't even get me going about The Mandalorian. I'm so stoked about that.
Kids, we live in heady times.
In
I always say that, but we
times.
really do.
All right, guys, listen, that will do it for all the emails that we had from you guys today. So we're going to do as we often do and save a little bit of time here to take some of your live questions. We do this show live every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We got a hell of a lot of you guys watching live, and a hell of a lot of you guys have already been sending in questions. So let's go over to the live chat board right now. Nathan Oswald writes, hey, Rob, which show had better special effects for its time? Star Trek, the original series, or The Next Generation?
Star Trek, the original series, had better effects for the time because they were incredibly groundbreaking to be using those kinds of effects.
On television.
Shooting models against a green screen. My problem with The Next Generation, one of the things that they did in the production of the show originally compromised the visual effects because they had to do all the compositing when they were compositing the ships with their various passes, like the warp nacelle passes, the lighting passes. They had to combine all that stuff on videotape, so it didn't look so great. But if you watch the Blu-ray versions of Star Trek The Next Generation that I produced all the special features for, you will see that those special effects look terrific now. But I have to say that the Star Trek special effects, looking back 50 years and now 53 years, people say, oh, well, those effects, are a little cheesy. But they were made starting in 1964 and 5 with the first pilot. I mean, this was groundbreaking visual effects for television.
All right, and I tend to agree with you. All right, Ben Hayusa writes, first movie from 2019 that I'm looking forward to is Alita Battle Angel. It just looks fun, waiting on March to see Captain Marvel and Dumbo. Look, I'm going to say this about that. Alita Battle Angel, I don't think Robert Rodriguez is on very much of a hot streak. He's on a pretty bad streak right now. He's done some great stuff, pretty bad streak. The first trailer for Alita came out. I did not like it. I was pretty disinterested. But I got to tell you what, these pieces of, corporately produced manipulations that we call trailers, the last couple of them have got me on board. I love the look of this movie now. I've really done a 180 on it. And I'm the first one I'm really looking forward to is Glass. Although that my enthusiasm has been hit a little bit. But yeah, I'm all up for Alita Battle Angel. You excited?
Well, I got to tell you, if anyone had ever watched the movie Trivia Schmodown, people know that Hector Navarro and I had a rivalry. Well, Hector is in New Zealand right now, and he saw
for DC All Access.
He saw Alita Battle Angel, and he said, quote on Twitter, it kind of blew his mind. And if he said that, I respect him as a competitor, as a rival, and as a fellow critic. So I'm all in now.
Well, I'm looking forward to see it. Let's see how it turns out. Sam Tampa writes, have you seen The Mule yet? Yeah, I talked about it on the show a number of weeks ago. I liked it. It didn't live up to the hype I had in my head, but it's a good film. Another winner for Clint Eastwood. Some pacing issues, some things you could see coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Not like on the level of like Mystic River or anything like that, but still good. Still good. Did you have a chance to see it yet?
I have not. And, it's funny. I really like Clint Eastwood movies, even Clint Eastwood movies that maybe aren't A-list. I just like watching him as a performer. But they've been movies that I've always caught up with for some reason on video. Like, I don't know why. I always get the Blu-rays of Clint Eastwood movies and watch them after the fact. But
what was that 1993 film we just talked about yesterday?
In the Line of Fire.
Yeah,
I saw in the theater.
Yeah, In Line of Fire. If you haven't seen Unforgiven, make sure you see Unforgiven. Anyway, Kyle B writes, Disney and Netflix have a different type of agreement with The Punisher. Is there a chance The Punisher can be saved? Probably just wishful thinking. It's completely wishful thinking. This is a philosophical thing that Netflix is employing. They do not want to support anything that Disney is doing anymore, with Disney launching their direct competing service with Disney Plus. Netflix wants nothing to do with them. Netflix wants nothing to do with any of that. Fully expect very shortly after the Punisher series comes out, the announcement that season 3 has been canceled. Fully expect that. Any other thought on that?
No, I feel the same way.
Right.
They're going to Marvel's taking it all back.
This isn't a matter about details in the agreement. This is about Netflix doesn't want to have anything to do with Disney anymore, which is unfortunate, but I get where everybody's coming from on that. Samuel Pole writes, the shitty puns for Glass reviews write themselves. They really do.
Dude, when the embargo broke, I wrote that the mixed reviews on Glass had me shattered.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, hey, I put in the subheadline that the reviews for Glass are fragile.
Oh.
So, yeah, the puns, you're right. The puns do write themselves, and I'm ashamed to admit, Samuel, that I bought into it. I'm upset, writes, is Kevin Hart's career in trouble after this? Not at all. I don't think slightly in the leaks. Now, if he keeps putting out movies like Night School, then his career is going to be in trouble. But no, I don't sense any kind of lack in any sort of lack in momentum or disruption of the momentum of his career. I really don't think this is going to hurt or touch him in the least. Not at all. Mike Hill writes, question for Rob: What would you recommend as my first hot toy? I really want a Superman one. Which do you recommend? Thanks.
Well, I bought both onto the Weekly Hero.
Yes, you did.
Hot Toy says they made 2 figures. They made the Christopher Reeve Superman and they made the Henry Cavill Superman. Both are excellent. So it really is up to you. Pick your favorite Superman.
I just love the detail in the Henry Cavill one's face.
Oh, it's so good.
It's like so stunning. I've got from that series. I have actually. I don't know if it's here. But I've got the Jor-El.
Which,
the
how
Russell
great is
Crowe
that figure?
Jor-El. It's a magnificent figure. First one I ever bought, actually. Ant Banks, 1984, writes, do you think it would be a little more hype surrounding Captain Marvel if they featured more of the Skrull-Kree war during the trailers? Nope, because only 1% of you even know what Ant Banks is talking about when you say Skrull and Kree war. Nobody knows what the Skrull Kree war is. Nobody cares. So maybe it would create a little bit more hype with the 1%, but it really won't affect anything else overall. Stubble McShave writes, I think Stellan Skarsgard will be perfect for the role in Dune, although it will probably take a lot of makeup no matter whoever would have played him. It all depends on if they want to go for the same kind of representation of him in the Lynch movie, which wasn't a huge departure from the original source material either,
No.
but I don't know how far they're going to go. I don't expect to see the same Baron Harkonnen in this one as we did in the David Lynch one.
I mean, it depends. Look, I think the tone is going to be much more along the lines of Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or something like that. And when people are scary, they're going to be scared. They're going to be playing very scary people as opposed to having boils on their faces, or maybe, who knows.
Nathan Oswald writes, my top 5 movies of all time: Ocean's 11, Breakfast Club, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Aliens, and Demolition Man.
It's quite the list.
Well, I keep forgetting the name of that one actor who was on The League, and then he was the third marquee star in The House with Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler. He's got this really super long Greek last name. He's the guy with the big beard, and I cannot remember his name. But he was on this podcast where they just did like this full commentary of Demolition Man as they were going through the movie. And I remember listening to it on a drive to Las Vegas once, and I just laughed myself sick. So I've never seen Demolition Man on a top 5 before. I'm glad you put that in there, Nathan. What's that? Jason Mantzoukas, thank you so much, fact checker Jonathan. We got to get a microphone in there for fact checker Jonathan. CellerX9 writes, hey guys, has Robert Meyer Burnett seen Spider-Verse yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, yes, I have.
Thank goodness. My
All
number
right.
3 best movie of the year. Not just number 3, best comic book movie of the year to me, best animated movie of the year to me, number 3 overall best film of the year. And this is a movie I didn't even think was going to be any good. Such a pleasant surprise. Yu Hyun Kim writes, you were right. Glass is rotten, 37%. I didn't say, look, I wasn't right. I didn't say it was going to be bad. I actually was still looking forward to it. You were right. Glass is a rotten 37%. Though I love some rotten movies like Venom, I've never disagreed with M. Night's movie critics reviews. I lost hope. Well, again, look, there are still some high-profile critics that are enjoying this film. Nobody seems to love this movie, and that's the part that worries me. And remember, I just said the only reason I didn't put Glass in my top 20 most anticipated, it's still got an honorable mention for me, was because of the track record of M. Night, the Almighty Shamhammer. That was my only reason, but I'm still looking forward to it. So I'd love to take a win, but I didn't win on this. I didn't predict it would be bad. I was still looking forward to it. I still thought it would be pretty good.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe I'll see it and I'll still like it. David Willard writes, "Hey, John, what happened to the Mortal Kombat movie that James Wan was producing? Do you think we'll get some news on that now that Aquaman is out?" No, Mortal Kombat was buried ages ago.
Yeah, I don't see that coming out.
There have been a lot of attempts. There was that the online series that Black Dynamite, Michael Jai White, he was in that web series of Mortal Kombat. They tried so many different times in so many different ways. I think the window for a Mortal Kombat movie was probably about 8 years ago.
Yeah,
and I don't think anybody's going to spend any money at this point. But hey, these things always have a way of coming back, so let's keep our eyes open for that. James Welsh writes, "Considering talent and effects costs, how much is Disney going to spend on the MCU shows? 80 million plus? Can't see them being cheap like Netflix." Oh, don't expect them to see movie budgets on these. I think these will be more character-driven. The great thing, too, about a Winter Soldier and Falcon is that, like a show like that, you actually don't have to have a lot of effects. Even with Scarlet Witch and Vision, you put Paul Bettany in the... by the way, I love that Paul Bettany's having a resurgence. I like Paul Bettany a lot.
And he's married...
to Jennifer Connelly.
Yes, he is.
Yes. Good man. Good man.
He's also in probably the greatest Star Trek movie that isn't a Star Trek movie, which is Master and Commander. He's in that with Russell Crowe, one of the great movies ever.
Then also in that other movie with Russell Crowe, Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, that's right.
He's so good in Beautiful Mind. And, of course, with Heath Ledger in Knight's Tale. Remember, he was the bard. That's where I really got my appreciation for Paul Bettany, was when he was that bard. I thought that was great. But how much will they spend? Look, it'll be a good amount for a television series. Just don't expect movie and don't expect over-the-top visual effects. They're going to stay character-centric, I think.
Although, they will want to make a splash with this first show.
Yes, they will.
So, and $10 million an episode is not out of the... That's like Thrones budget. Are they going to go for Thrones? I mean...
I don't know if they're going to do that. Not they're going to... Mandalorian... Because they got a lot of these series.
Yeah.
Like Mandalorian, the Loki one. I'm still fascinated by the Loki one. Bill Belichick, the boss, writes in, "Hey, John, any suggestion for us to cheat this weekend?" First of all, anybody who knows anything about the New England Patriots and actually reads into it, the New England Patriots have never cheated. I mean, that's such a myth of epic proportions. It's crazy when you really look at the thing. So get out of here with that. Look, it just comes from people who are so sad that their teams can never be as good as the New England Patriots. Sorry. Every year, complete change of personnel, except for Tom Brady, obviously. And they always, now, I don't think they're going to beat the San Diego Chargers. I keep saying the San Diego Chargers. They're not going to beat the Los Angeles Chargers this weekend. I hope they do. I'm cheering for them. But I just think right now, Phillip Rivers is a man of destiny this year. And I think the Chargers are a team of destiny this year.
My favorite football team is any team that Sunday that beats the Patriots.
You're just still sore about that Super Bowl that you guys lost.
Why does everybody have to go there? Why does everybody have to go there? You know what? Right. It was a call that was good strategy. They had 4 downs to get it in. No one thought Russell was going to throw a pick on the first down. Nobody thought that was going to happen.
I'm so glad you said that. I have argued for years. Now, obviously, I was cheering for the Patriots that year, but I'm also a fan of the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, you should be.
I have argued for years. Like, everybody talks about Pete Carroll. He blew that. What a terrible, terrible decision. You know what? You're right. Nobody saw a pass coming on that play. He caught that ball and made it into the end zone, they would have hailed it as one of the most brilliant coaching decisions in history. It didn't work. The defender made the play, and it goes down instead as one of the most terrible things in history. I didn't mind the call.
He had 4 downs. He was playing smart football. Sometimes, any given Sunday, as Al Pacino said, you fight for every inch.
All right. Razor's Edge Frisbee writes, "Have you guys seen those Dark Side hot toys?" Hot damn. I have not seen a Dark Side hot toy. Have you?
No.
I have to look that up.
I've seen the Thanos hot toys.
Well, yes.
And which are great. And the new Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet is great. I've not seen a Darkseid hasn't appeared in a movie yet.
So it would have to be a comic adaptation of him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
So no, I have not seen it.
I haven't either.
Are you sure Razor's Edge was a hot toy?
Yeah.
And not another brand?
Do you know what hot toys dropped this morning?
What's that?
Krennic from Rogue One.
No. Okay,
Yes.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, they did.
Okay, Eric Saul writes, To this day, the biggest jump scare I've ever had in the movie was when the imposter Batman's body lunges at the window in The Dark Knight. I don't remember jumping all that much at that. Maybe it's just been too long since I've seen the movie. Maybe I have to go back and watch that scene again. The whole scene was really good.
Yeah.
My big logic problem with that, though, was when Batman grabs the gun and bends the barrel. It's like physically that actually can't happen, and I'll go into it another time why that actually was a physical impossibility, but we'll talk about that another time. Okay, Murray Reich writes, just have Felipe, the singing, dancing microphone host. Murray's probably referring to a tweet I put out earlier today. It's like, you know what? I've been trying to hire a production and personal assistant for this thing, right? And I got in about 140 resumes. And I put out this tweet. I said, you know, why do guys have an allergy to the word assistant? Because I got in about 140 resumes. I kid you not. Maybe 10 of them were from men. I invited about 5 into interview because I invited about 20 people down to interview. I invited 5 into interview. Only 2 of them showed up. And I just put out a tweet this morning saying, what's up with that? Like, I mean, I don't care. I just want to get the best person. But like, seriously, like every other job I've posted for, it's usually about a 50-50 split, men and women applying. This one, it was like 92-8. It was just kind of crazy. Yeah, maybe I'll just get Felipe, the sentient dancing microphone, to do it. All right. James Welsh writes, what the... I'm sure you meant hell, not heel. What the heel happened to The Front Runner? You think a movie starring Jackman and directed by Jason Reitman would do better than $2 million. That movie so came and went.
Yeah.
It is crazy. They did hardly any marketing on that movie. I love Jason Reitman as a director. Good Canadian kid, by the way. I love Hugh Jackman. It was based on a real political event that happened back in the 80s. And they just kind of, it just kind of, like the wind, like a fart in the wind. It just kind of came and went. And I honestly, it's a great question, James. I don't know what the hell
really was
happened.
interested in seeing that movie because I remember vividly the whole Gary Hart
and
shenanigans.
it's really good. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's not an Oscar contender or anything, but it's a really good. I have no idea how that came and went so fast. Patrick Conway writes, trailer for Punisher season 2 is badass. Yeah, I like the trailer for it.
It just dropped.
I didn't. I mean, I've seen better Netflix series trailers, but yeah, I thought it was good. I cannot wait for the series, though. I'm just dying to see it. I'm so glad it's coming out in just like 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks now, actually. I'm Upset writes, over under 25%. Aquaman 2 is greenlit before Shazam comes out. I'm going to take the under. And here's why. Not because I don't think Warner Brothers isn't confident. Not because I don't think Warner Brothers isn't completely planning on doing Aquaman 2. I think Warner Brothers, under Walter Hamada leading the DC charge, I think these are going to be more strategic about it. And they're going to be, you know what? No. Hey, great win for Aquaman, and we're going to do 2. We're going to put all of our attention now on Shazam. We're going to keep all the focus on Shazam. We're going to point everybody's eyeballs to Shazam. So for that, I believe, I don't know for sure, who knows, but I believe they will wait until after Shazam to officially announce Aquaman 2.
I completely agree with you. I mean, they're playing the long game here. They've made their course correction. They know what they're doing. They're doing a great job. So.
All right, Snake Jerusalem writes, what's going on with X-Force and Deadpool 3? No news. Well, they never announced Deadpool 3, so that's never anything. And technically speaking, X-Force was never officially announced either. They put some things in development, but that happens to a lot of movies that never get made. Look, the fact of the matter is they are never going to be able to get a Deadpool 3 up, running, in production, all that kind of stuff before the Disney takeover. The Disney takeover is going to happen sometime in the next 4 to 5 months. And they're just never going to be able to do that. So we're just going to have to wait until after the takeover happens to see what, if anything, happens with Deadpool and X-Force. Stubble McShave writes, BAFTA nominations today. How does it compare to the Golden Globes? Well, I put a lot more weight to the BAFTAs than I do to the Golden Globes. But I have not seen the nominees list yet, so I can't really comment on it. But I give a lot more credibility to the BAFTAs. Godzilla Loves Sushi writes, when studio calls Jason Momoa to audition the role, but the studio did not tell him for what role he was supposed to play for, why is that? I honestly don't know the story.
So the internet can't find out. You know, I mean, there's so much secrecy now over these things. They bring in actors.
But I don't know what is there a specific story to this?
Well, yeah, he didn't know that he was auditioning for Aquaman.
Oh, okay. So
just like I don't believe Gal Gadot knew she was auditioning for Wonder Woman. Not at first. They didn't tell her. You know, they have her come in, they have her read lines that aren't even Wonder Woman's lines or other people's lines, because they can gauge that way. That way, what happens is they don't have to tell an actor, they don't have to put expectations on that actor. They can meet them in sort of the most neutral, honest way possible.
All right. So Josh DeRose writes, "Have you seen Misfits? It's a must-watch on E4. I don't know what E4 is, and I can't think of what the Misfits is.
Is this the British show? It's funny. My girlfriend was bringing this up just the other day. The Misfits from the aughts.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never watched it because I've never even heard of it. But I
think it's the British show.
But I did finally start watching that one with Rob Snow, Bodyguard. Wow.
Yeah. How about that opening opening scene?
The hype with the train and everything.
Yeah.
The hype on that show is real. You know what? There's a couple of shows in the last few years that have had a lot of hype behind them that actually lived up to the hype when I started watching it. And they're both BBC related. One was Killing Eve with Sandra Oh,
which I just finished.
Holy crap.
Man, did I love that show.
I started watching it. I had no interest because honestly, I didn't think Sandra Oh in a show like this. I don't know if I buy into that. Then everybody kept telling me, John, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. Finally started watching it. I binged that whole freaking thing in 3 days. 3 days I binged that whole freaking thing.
You know, hot Russian psychopaths who love to murder really is pretty much my jam.
But it's the whole psychology. It's the whole psychology of the whole thing too, man. It's crazy.
No,
good.
it's the cat and mouse with Sandra Oh and
I forget the name of the actress.
Yeah, it was very. But
she's fantastic.
She's fantastic.
Yeah,
and so is Sandra Oh.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. Brian Esparza writes, "Punisher season 2 looking amazing. Thoughts on the trailer? I thought it was great. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was like there were some of the Daredevil trailers I thought were better, blah, 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 but it doesn't matter. Punisher season 1 is one of the best seasons. I think the third best season of all the television stuff they put out. I still put Daredevil season 1 and 2 ahead of it, but I think I might even like Punisher season 1 more than Daredevil season 3, and I really like Daredevil season 3, and I cannot wait for season 2 and the final season, as it turns out." Max Newmark writes, "Hey John, from London, been your fan for years." Thank you so much, Max. "Have you seen the Hollywood Reporter report that the Academy is attempting the stars of the Avengers to host the Oscars?" I have not read that yet. That might have come out this morning. It would certainly be topical. It would certainly be time relevant. I don't think, honestly, I don't think you can get Robert Downey Jr. to put himself, because let's face it, Robert Downey Jr.'s got a little bit of a spotty history.
Right.
I don't know, and I love Robert Downey Jr. I love Robert Downey Jr., but I don't know that any of those guys. Now, will they each do little segments? I could see that, but I don't think you're going to see them actually.
What about if they came out in character? One of the greatest things I ever saw at Comic-Con, if you guys were there at Comic-Con,
Loki,
when Tom Hiddleston came out dressed as Loki into Hall H with 6,000 screaming fans. I was in that room.
People of Comic-Con.
It was so great.
I am Loki, and I am burdened with glorious purpose. I was there. It was a magnificent.
And what if they all, I mean, a lot of people in Hollywood would be like, well, you're not taking the Oscars seriously enough. But what if all the Avengers came out as their characters?
Oh my God.
Come on.
I could listen to Chris Hemsworth as Thor hosting the Oscars all day.
Who wouldn't watch it?
Or Paul Rudd as Scott Lang all day.
Talk about a tie into Avengers Endgame.
I mean, it would be relevant.
But what would be really funny is they could make jokes about all the characters they couldn't bring, like Black Panther couldn't come because he's dusted.
He's dusted. That's right. He's vanished. All right. Javier Rios 405 writes, "Have you seen Runaway season 2? It's great. I am now on. Ann and I finished episode 4 last night. I'm loving it. I was so afraid of a sophomore slump for this show because I loved season 1. Really digging it. A few things that annoyed me about it, but every show is. But honestly, it's on a really great high point right now. The last episode we watched just ended on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I had to do some work for today's show last night.
You did?
So Ann and I, we watched this one episode, and we finished around 8:00. And Ann's like, "Let's watch the next one right now." I'm like, "Honey, I can't. I gotta go work. I gotta get everything ready for tomorrow." "No, dude, watch this show right now." They're like, "I'm going to watch it without you." I said, "This is the one show we don't watch without each other." Anyway, I'm loving it so far. Brian Esparza writes, "Seen Old Man and the Gun of 2018 best films, in my opinion. It purportedly the final Robert Redford film. He says he's not going to act in films anymore. We'll see if that sticks. And if it's true, it was a good send-off. I did not think it was one of the best movies of the year, but I thought it was a very good movie. I thought it was a very good movie. And that, if that is truly his final acting appearance, and now he just wants to produce and do things like that, then it was a good send-off. It was a really, what a career the dude's had.
Ugh.
And again, I just watched Winter Soldier the other day, and seeing Robert Redford in the MCU was amazing. All right, ZOMG Ruler writes, if Glass bombs, is Shyamalan's career over? We kind of addressed that already. I don't think so. Again, I think a lot of people are still going to look at it and go, you know what? He's 2 for his last 3. Out of his last 3, he's still got a winning record right now. I don't think you give up on him yet. If, and these are big hypothetical ifs, if Glass flops, and then if he does another one and that fails critically with the audience and flops, okay, maybe then he's in trouble again. But right now, even if Glass is a failure, and I'm not saying it is, I still think he's got life in there. Because he's, like I said, The Visit was solid, Split was solid. Okay, so he stumbles with Glass, maybe.
Right.
I think you give him another chance. I do. I think you give him another chance. Nathan Oswald writes, better Van Halen era, David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar? Everybody gets mad at me when I say this. Honestly, I think the Sammy Hagar is the better era of... Oh, exactly. You got Jonathan already yelling at me.
Hang on a second.
Look.
Look, I actually made 2 music videos for Sammy Hagar's band Chickenfoot. I did Sexy Little Thing and My Kind of Girl.
Right.
Love Sammy Hagar. Incredible entrepreneur. Very nice man. But Van Halen, man, it's like Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation. Van Halen with David Lee Roth is classic Star Trek. It is. Sammy Hagar is The Next Generation. Come on.
Yeah, but the Next Generation was better.
No, what?
Did I just pick a fist fight?
Oh
is
my
a
God!
fist fight going to break out on the set of the John Campea Show right now?
If you're going to sing a Van Halen song, you're going to sing like "Jump."
I don't know. I mean, seriously, the Hagar era. Now, what we can agree on. I mean, let's look. The real answer
Hot
is
for Teacher.
The real answer is neither. The real answer was when that one guy from who's the More Than Words guy? Remember that band that sang More Than Words? Remember he took over as the lead singer,
dude,
for Van Halen for a while. What was that dude's name? I can't remember that.
Oh yeah,
no, but I stick with it. I stick with the Sammy Hagar era.
Wow. I hope everybody who watches this show just floods the comment section with how John is wrong about this.
Just a gigolo. Okay. Tiny Little Critics writes, my dad won't let me review The Punisher. Tell him I can. I'm turning 10 this year. You know what, Tiny Little Critic? Sorry, my brother. Gonna have to go with your dad on this one. I don't think you should be reviewing The Punisher, probably. I'm gonna lean towards your dad. I know that's not what you want to hear, but I'm going to lean towards your dad. But don't worry, it's on Netflix, which means you can watch it when your dad's asleep, no problem on your phone.
That's what I used to do.
Not that I'm trying to subvert the new generation or anything like that. Let's see. Grand Master writes, interesting fact, 70% of Aquaman's box office came from just 2 territories, U.S. and China. I looked back and found no other example of such a case. I think there have been many movies that have had like 50, 60% of their box office just come from the United States alone. So I don't think that's that unusual. I don't think it's that. Those are the 2 biggest movie markets in the world, China and the U.S. So I don't find that to be surprising at all. Do you?
No, but I'm curious. Aquaman hasn't opened to Japan yet.
Yeah, but Japan's a very small market.
But I still think it could do 100 million there. Maybe.
No.
You never know.
No, it might do 10. It might do 10. Japan is a very small market.
But they're going to love this
I'm
movie.
sure they will. I'm sure they will. Okay. Let's see. Brian Esparza writes, have you seen Enemy at the Gate? Loved it. Amazing. Oh, yeah, I remember that one. That was the one with, I believe, Jude Law.
No. He's at Eternity's Gate is the movie with Willem Dafoe.
I'm thinking.
The Enemy at the Gates.
As soon as I saw Gate, I just instantly went to.
I have action figures from Enemy at the Gates.
Gate?
They make, because a lot of companies, they can make military figures. They did a 2-pack of the 2 snipers.
Really? Yeah. Well, I'm not. Which one is Eternity's Gate?
It's the one with Willem Dafoe playing Van Gogh.
Right. You know what? I didn't watch that.
Well, it just came out. It's supposed to be great. It's supposed to be great.
No, I haven't seen
I'll watch anything Willem Dafoe's in.
I've not seen that yet. I've not watched that yet. Ben Rayner writes, what movie is this from? He's losing his mind, and I'm reaping all the benefits. Ooh. I don't know. I get a lot of.
It rings a bell, but I'm not feeling it.
You got it. Guys in the comments section. Drop in. Which one has been
Our
referred
credibility
to?
just dropped 50%. There go the markets, everyone.
No,
the Dow Jones is down 1,000
points. I get
points.
most of these, but sometimes these guys throw in some like really random stuff just to catch me. I'm upset. Writes better actor: T.I., 50 Cent, Common, or Gal Gadot. Honestly. Only because I think he is actually tremendously underrated as an actor. I think Common is a much better actor than people give him credit for.
I love Common.
I think he's really good.
But 50 Cent's better than I thought too.
Not me, but I will say this. There was that bad movie that came out last year with Gerard Butler. I'm trying to remember. It was the bank heist movie, and 50 Cent was in it with him. And I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but 50 Cent, it was the best I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
It was the best I've ever seen him. But I got to go Common, not because everybody else is crap and Common just... I think Common's really good.
He is good.
So
and I loved him in John Wick.
Oh, I did too. Absolutely. All right, Murray Reich writes, just saw Hotel Artemis. It was okay. How about you? That's the one with Dave Bautista and Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I was really excited for it, but it didn't live up to its potential. It just didn't. So I thought, I like the way you put it, Murray. It was okay. At best, though. It was okay at best. Ben Rayner writes, what's your favorite Sandler comic films? Mine, in no particular order, Happy Gilmore, Wedding Singer, Big Daddy. To me, starts, finishes, Waterboy. Waterboy, for me, is my absolute favorite Adam Sandler comedy. I love that movie, man.
Well, I love Happy Gilmore because I grew up in a golf. The religion of my family was golf.
And hockey.
And
hockey's a part of Happy Gilmore. So, I mean, hey, you think I would like that more, too. Javier Rios 405 writes, was there an episode of The Weekly Hero yesterday? No. Our first episode back for The Weekly Hero is going to be this coming Wednesday. That's going to be the first episode of 2019. Tune in then. Man Abdullah, I'm not even going to try to say the rest of your name, my friend, because I'm just going to butcher it so bad. Sad to hear about Glass's bad reviews. Yeah, I'm disappointed too. Again, I haven't seen the movie. Maybe I'll like it. I might like it, but I'm just, like I said, more discouraged that even the people who liked it aren't saying that great things about it. So that's the part that concerns me. James Ito writes, just finished American Beauty. Great movie. Now I've seen all 90 Best Picture Oscar winners. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, man. That's a tough question.
I don't know. I mean, how do you not say one of the first two Godfathers? How do you not say Lord of the Rings, Return of the King? How do you not say? I mean, there are so...
I just recently watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest again. Another great movie. I love Annie Hall. That was the Best Picture winner.
So
Didn't Ben Hur win?
You know what's funny about Annie Hall? Annie Hall, a lot of those comedies from that era, you watched it, even though they were great at the time, they're cheesy now. Annie Hall stands up. It really does. It's ridiculously funny.
It is. Gandhi.
Oh, God,
I love Amadeus. I love The English Patient.
Oh, yes. So, I don't know. We could do an entire episode talking about that. It's a great question, but we could do an entire episode about that. Raymond Verada writes, with the Kevin Hart hosting problem, I'm glad my generation, Gen X, didn't have to deal with social media back then. No embarrassing pics or texts.
Yeah, you guys still got away with it.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I'm really glad I didn't. You know what? I've been saying this for a long time, and I've honestly been giving this thought, Robert. I've seriously been giving this thought. I've been saying for a while that, look, if you're rich enough, you're a professional athlete, because a lot of professional athletes are doing this now, and I believe more professional people in entertainment need to do it as well. What a lot of professional athletes now do is they send out a tweet, but then what happens is they have a social media manager that works for them. And when an athlete sends a tweet, it doesn't actually post. Their social media manager sees it and just make sure, okay, you're not killing yourself by putting this tweet out. And then the social media manager will then hit post or give their client a call and say, hey, let's talk about this tweet you just tried to send out. Do you want to take a breath and think about it? And I've been saying people in the movie and the entertainment industry should do that too, because even if you think you're saying something innocent enough, you word something the wrong way. And we live in an outrage society right now. You're going to get yourself in trouble. I have honestly been thinking about getting somebody to monitor my own social media, to review my social media that I post before I post it. I've been thinking about it.
Well, they just need to put breathalyzers in phones, and if you blow too much, you can't tweet, you can't do anything. But I'll tell you what really irks me: I cannot stand people who put their phones up at concerts and videotape certain. It's like, first of all, it's not going to ever sound very good. And why aren't you enjoying the music and the musicianship? Why do you have to make a record?
I'll tell you what, I do that.
Well, you're one of the people I don't like.
And I'll tell you why I do that.
Why do you do it?
Because it's not for that moment. And I will record like 15, 20 seconds because I love then going home and even in the car on the way home. Like I did at the most recent U2 concert I was at and just reliving it. And just like, yeah, there's something about that. Now, not these people who put up and hold up and record 30 minutes of the thing, but I'll put up and record about 15, 20 minutes of the experience. I want a record of that. To hell with you. Okay, let's move on. Talua Foot writes, nothing, just sends in a super chat. Thanks a lot, Talua. Samuel Pole writes, Spider-Verse and Overlord made me miss Schnepp. Yeah, I think Schnepp would have loved Overlord. Yeah. I mean, obviously Spider-Verse. Schnepp would have gone crazy for Spider-Verse. I think he really would have got
he would have liked
Gonzo
he would have liked
Overlord.
Yes, he would have liked Overlord.
That movie was so crazy.
He would have liked that.
It was just like pedal to the metal ridiculousness right from start to finish. I loved it. C Spice writes, what if Captain Marvel's past visions of her life on Earth are actually from the future, and that's a twist? No, I don't think so.
That's too Arrival.
And by the way, this isn't a Shamhammer film. You don't have to have a big twist in it. So
right.
I think it's going to be kind of straightforward, at least on that level. I think the movie will have twists and turns, but I don't think that's one of them. Now watch, that's exactly what happens in the movie. MS's 1985 writes, we just got a few minutes left here, guys. Thoughts on actors not wanting to kiss or do sex scenes because of their religion? Should writers accommodate? No, writers should not accommodate. What I would suggest, though, is, look, I have no problem with a performer not wanting to do certain things. There's nothing wrong with that. But be aware, if you're taking a job that requires certain things, then don't apply for that job. Don't submit yourself for that job. I've always said this. The character trumps the performer, and the story trumps the character. That is the order of importance. Story first, character second, the performer third. You do not do things. The stories are not there to serve the performers. The performers are there to serve the characters, and the characters are there to serve the story. So I have no problem with somebody not wanting to do those things and only wanting to take roles that accommodate that. I have no problem with that whatsoever. And I also have no problem with, like, say if an actress takes a job in a show and it called for no nudity, it called for no sex scenes, blah, 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 and they took that stuff, and then later the showrunner say, we want to change directions and we want to have you do a little bit of nudity, then I'd say no. Then I'm totally on the performer side, because when you signed up, that's what you signed up for. I have no problem then. But otherwise, no, you don't change the way, you don't accommodate that.
No, and with everybody that works on a movie, why should an actor's playing a character that isn't them? So whatever their religion is, why should that play into the character that they're actually playing in the film?
I get it. Look, like if somebody has a certain religious belief that, like, I'm a married dude, and I shouldn't even fake be kissing another woman, I respect that. Just don't take a role that calls for it.
But that should happen before you decide, like you said, to take the job.
Absolutely. All right. Where am I right now? I'm at down. Marie Seafring writes, finally saw Bumblebee and absolutely loved it. Me too, Marie. I was not familiar with Haley Steinfeld's work, but she is so engaging. She is now my favorite young actress. Hope to see a lot more of her in the future. Marie, I have been singing this song for so long, but let me sing another bar of it. Go see Edge of 17. If you liked Haley Steinfeld in this movie, and she is great in Bumblebee, it's nothing compared to how good she is in The Edge of 17 with her and Woody Harrelson.
And
she's magnificent.
The Coen Brothers' True Grit.
Yep. That she got an Academy Award nomination.
She's amazing in that, and Jeff Bridges is in it, so it's great.
And Pitch Perfect 2. No, I mean, she is in Pitch Perfect too, but that's not one of the greatest examples. Tristan Larison writes, Childish Gambino at Coachella. Guess LA wasn't his last. No, I believe that was his last concert in LA. I think this is his last tour. He's saying that Donald Glover's saying he's retiring the Childish Gambino persona. So whether he actually look, how many times has Jay-Z retired? I mean, I don't believe it, but we'll have to see what happens. Paul writes, what's your guys' opinion on the non-canon Clone Wars show from 2003? I think it's better than the well-known Clone Wars TV show, which I also enjoy. I am very unpopular in my Star Wars fan circles. I don't like Clone Wars. I didn't like Clone Wars.
Either one?
Either one.
I can't pronounce his last name. It's Gennady Tarkovsky or whatever.
Something like that.
I liked both, and I love the new Clone Wars too, especially the later seasons. It got really good, dude.
You know what? We've only got about 10 questions left here, so I'm going to stretch a little bit long here, guys, but we're going to go through these pretty quick, so I want to get your questions answered. Guys, please don't send in any more. Don't send in any more. Alan Gonzalez writes, have you had the opportunity to watch Jane Austen's Mafia yet? with Jay Moore and Lloyd Bridges. Nope, never. I'm not familiar with it at all. Are you?
No, but I think we missed. Did we miss one?
Oh,
Yeah.
did I miss a bunch?
Yeah, Victor. DC.
Okay, there we go. Back to Victor Watson. But anyway, to answer that one question, which I'll skip over in a bit, no, I did not see it. Victor Watson writes, DC is starting to get it together. I still feel Shazam will kill it, just me. Hey, I was excited the moment. A couple things. You got the director on that I thought was a really bold choice. You got the lead actor on, which I think Zach's going to kill it in this role.
Kill it.
When I saw the first trailer, I like the Aquaman better coming out of Comic-Con, but that Shazam one was great. I thought they nailed the exact tone they should be going for this movie. And I think under Walter Hamada, I think the future looks pretty good.
I do too.
And I'm looking forward to it as well, Victor. Jared McBride writes, hello, John. I hope you and Ann had a great Christmas and Happy New Year. We certainly did. My question is, are you and Robert shocked that Aquaman is doing so well? Oh, I absolutely. He's not as shocked as me. But look, I always said Aquaman's going to succeed. It's going to be a success. Never thought it'd be this successful.
I'm not shocked either.
I never thought it'd be this successful.
I mean, I had an inkling. I mean, I even said it on the show, but I didn't, I thought it was a long shot it was going to make $1 billion, but I'm happy it did because
me too. Yeah.
It's good. A high tide raises all ships. It's good for everyone.
I still think though it could have made like 1.3, 1.4 billion if it opened in another time window though. But anyway, let's see. Victor Watson writes, I think Captain Marvel will be perfectly fine. Trailers and all, 600 million minimum or more. I'm going. Well, that's exactly where I'm pegging it. I'm pegging it right now around the 600, around the Ant-Man and the Wasp neighborhood. There are some people, again, who got these unrealistic Black Panther $1.3 billion expectations, which I think is silly to have. But I think it is going to be successful. It's going to be completely fine. I'm pegging that 600 to 700 million range. That's just my guess.
Who isn't going to go to see Captain Marvel? I've loved the Carol Danvers character since Avengers Annual 10 that came out in 1981. Chris Claremont writing, Michael Golden on art. Can't wait.
Santez Henderson writes, people forget Unbreakable got lukewarm reviews when it first came out, only because they compared it to Sixth Sense. Only now do people love that movie. It didn't get all that. And Santez, don't make that excuse. Don't say, oh, they only didn't like it because they were compared. No. They just didn't like it because they didn't like it. Like, let's not make excuses for why other people didn't like things that we like. I always liked Unbreakable.
Right.
And hence me the sham hammer. Like, I thought Unbreakable was great. Yeah, but there are some great films. There's some films that go down as classics that didn't get received great at first. Hey, it still boggles my mind that Step Brothers didn't get good reviews when it came out. And to me, it's a top 5 comedy of all time.
Hey, man, I love Get Him to the Greek. And I don't think
I didn't like that one as much.
I don't think P. Diddy as Sergio gets enough credit.
P. Diddy was really good.
I want to see a Sergio movie. Bring it on.
Let's see. Victor Watson says, I think people will be divided on Glass, but I think it will be fine also. I think the budget on the movie wasn't too costly. No, financially, it's going to be okay because Jason Blum is so good at keeping those budgets low and making some big things happen from low budgets. So I think both Robert and I completely agree with you, Victor. It will be fine. Alan Gonzalez writes, have you had, that was Alan Gonzalez. So we'll skip over to Jubalera, who writes, hey, John and Robert, over under 65%. The Punisher gets canceled a week after the second season drops. I'll take the over. I might wait until the second week after it opens, but I will take the over 65% that the week after it opens, it will be canceled officially.
I'm with you.
I mean, let's be honest. We all know it's canceled already.
Right.
We already know it's already canceled, but they'll make the announcement within the first week, I think. Victor Watson writes, I'm looking forward to Brightburn. James Gunn, oh yeah. I cannot believe how excited I am for Brightburn.
Me neither.
Guys, if you have not seen the trailer for Brightburn yet, oh my God, jump on YouTube and look this shit up because it looks awesome. I cannot wait to see that movie. Mr. Hero 17 just sends a super chat. Thank you, Mr. Hero. Kyle Mason writes, hey, John and Robert, what would your reaction be if Marvel pulls Mandarin again on Magneto? What would the fan reaction backlash be? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, you know how, the Mandarin, Ben Kingsley's Mandarin.
Yeah, he didn't end up being the real Mandarin.
And so
what do you mean about Magneto? Like,
I don't know how you could
Magneto?
even do that. I don't know.
I have no idea what we're talking about, to be honest with you, Kyle. Sorry about that. Santez Henderson writes, John and Rob, what's up, Danger? I love the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. And I believe the very first track on the soundtrack is What's Up, Danger.
What a great soundtrack.
I have a slumber party with all my foes. What's up, Danger? I only play games I think I can lose. What's up, Danger? It is a great tune, but overall the whole soundtrack is fantastic. Yeah. I mean, how good is that part when he's just like?
It's so good.
So good. Great soundtrack. RDX Ut writes, if the Disney-Netflix relationship is bad, why does Netflix have new Disney movies, etc. Solo 3? Business, man. Previous arranged business. It's just that simple. And when those things are expired, they'll be done.
And I don't necessarily think their relationship is bad, per se. I think it's the shifting landscape of Disney starting their own streaming service.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, really what, because they had a great relationship prior to that. All right. Meme Machine Gaming writes, I love the show. First time donating. Oh, thanks so much, Meme Machine. Thank you. No, Meme Machine, thank you. And Robert thanks you.
I do.
And Ray thanks you. And Jonathan thanks you. And we all thank you. Boy Chow Sang writes, do you sense that Bruce Willis still doesn't give a crap in Glass as well? I feel like the trailers focus on McAvoy and Samuel Jackson's characters only. The big problem with Bruce Willis, who I think is a great actor, is that you have clearly been able to see. Death Wish is one of the greatest examples of this. That Bruce Willis for nearly 10 years just has not given one shit about any of the movies he's been in. And you can tell when he's in a movie these days, he completely sleepwalks through it. It is my hope that going back to his character from Unbreakable will spark a little bit for him and have him really buy into it. I don't know. And you're right. They have not shown a lot of Bruce Willis in these trailers.
No.
All I can say is that I hope he gets out of that rut. Because seriously, it's like Bruce Willis, like, you want me to show up to a movie? Yeah, okay. And don't tell me how to listen to Kevin Smith talk about trying to direct Bruce Willis
for Cop Out.
Bruce Willis just like rejects any direction. Just, yeah, you don't need it. I know what I'm doing, and just does his own. And like it comes across like he doesn't give a shit. I hope that's not the case with Glass. I hope that's not the case with Glass. Ronaldo Crisoto writes, Children of Men underrated. Your thoughts? No, everybody loves it.
Yeah, it's one of the finest science fiction films of the last 2 decades. So good.
I don't see how everybody can revere that movie and then say it's underrated.
The man who directed Roma directed it.
Yeah, it's great. The movie's great. But everybody knows it's great. Final question of the day. Twiggriff writes, Lasseter hurt women's careers, fostered a culture of sexism at Pixar. Why does he deserve another chance when he's done nothing to alleviate that harm? Well, I think there's a couple things here. I've never read one thing that says he hurt anybody's career. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying he did. I'm simply saying, out of all the reports I read, I never read that was actually the case. Did he foster a culture of sexism? I also never read anything that said he fostered a culture of sexism. He acted like a douchebag, and he acted like a creep, and he acted in a completely inappropriate way, and he acted in a way that he deserved to lose his job. Why does he deserve another chance when he's done nothing to alleviate that harm? Well, I would ask this question. How does he alleviate any harm? If he's not in a job again to perform differently, if he doesn't get given another job to perform differently and to do things differently and to change culture and all that kind of stuff, what is he supposed to do? It's like saying, you bagged groceries terribly. Why should I give you another chance if you're not bagging groceries better? It's like, well, you got to give me a chance to show that I'm going to bag my groceries better. Again, look, I'm making it sound as if I'm really on one side of this, and I'm not. I'm really not. I have questions about this whole thing, but I'm just of the belief. I try to hold on to the belief that people deserve second chances, provided they have not done things that you can't come back from. The Harvey Weinstein situation there are so many things being brought up there that are just things you cannot come back from. You cannot come back from. Like when Peter Jackson is telling you, yeah, Harvey Weinstein told me don't let Ashley Judd be in these Lord of the Rings movies, and then later you find out the reason he did that was because Ashley Judd refused to sleep with them. That's something you can't go back on. That's something you can't come back from. But if it's a matter of behavior that needs correcting, and then again, but I'm still torn. I mean, it's hard to say. All I know is this, Twiggriff. You do not know all the details, and neither do I. All I know is the stuff that I've read in the Hollywood Reporter reports. That's all the stuff anybody really knows at this point. I do know nobody's ever charged him with anything. No one's ever brought accusations against him. Nobody's ever done whatever. And again, that doesn't mean more terrible things didn't happen. I'm not saying they do. I'm just trying to say I don't want to jump all over of, who cares what he did back then? Give him his job. And I don't want to fall in the case of he acted inappropriately once, never let him work again. I don't know where the middle ground of this is. I'm struggling with it.
Even if you're convicted of a crime and you go to jail, When you serve your time and you've paid your debt to society and you come out, you've paid your debt to society. But now we live in this weird culture where people are banished from humanity for the rest of their lives?
Well, some people will make an argument that that Lasseter did not pay for whatever it is he did, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying
but
that
then,
there's that argument.
If that's the case, then we need some kind of a system in which you can quantify that.
Yeah, and it's difficult, and I don't have the answers.
I don't either.
I think that's the bottom line here, is that I'm not going to pretend that I have the answer. And I think it's a little disingenuous for anyone to pretend at this point that they actually are the moral authority and have the answer. So I could see both sides of this. I really can. And
Me too.
It's a tough call. It's a tough call. All right, guys, listen, that will do it for today's long installment of the John. We almost went an hour and a half today.
Wow.
For today's installment of the John Campea Show, thanks so much for being here. I want to thank, of course, the one, the only, the great Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram, BurnettRM. Find me on YouTube on my channel, The Burnett Work. Subscribe, and also find my website, TheBurnettWork.net.
You guys can follow me on social media, simply just at John Campea, and that's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. It's just at John Campea. It's really damn simple. Don't forget, guys, we will be back again tomorrow, the next episode of the John Campea Show, done from my home studios I've been doing on Fridays. Make sure you guys come back and join us then. Special thank you to all of you guys who've been here watching. Special thanks, of course, to fact checker Jonathan, to Ray, and to you guys for being here. That'll do it for us, guys. My name's John Campea, and until our next show, bye-bye.